Hey, so I bought this little tripod thing for the phone, basically just a camera tripod, but it has an adapter for a phone gripper thing or whatever it's called. Seems to work pretty well, at least for I don't know, like $20 or some shit like that. Not bad. I just have it on the counter right now, and now finally my mom is going. Or today's her first day back to work, I guess. I don't know how long she's going to be there, but soon at least another 2 hours probably. I mean, I can make videos even when she's around, but I don't know. I just don't feel as comfortable, I guess. Yeah, I'm going to be cooking some shit today. And first I always figure I'm going to clean up the kitchen before I start a little bit, sweep up and clean off the counters and shit. Even though I did it last night, but this one she always makes some kind of mess in some way. So I figure while I'm just doing that kind of physically repetitive or whatever you want to call it, brainless stuff, I might as well make a sort of video or sort of reaction to what Billy was reacting to in that hour video yesterday. That was reacting to my previous video. So unfortunately, I don't have the exact I can't on the camera. I can't have the video up while also recording or whatever. So I don't know exactly what he was saying throughout the entire video because my memory is not that great, but I do generally know some of the stuff he was talking about. So I guess I'll just try to sort of react to that just from memory as I'm doing stuff here. I guess the first thing I wanted to bring up was when I mentioned that guy that was from Australia that made that Daggerfall Unity game, or did a lot of that. He was the original kind of like creator of the project, whatever you want to say. And hopefully the audio is not too bad, depending on where I'm going. But what was it? Oh yeah, I said, God damn, now my fucking throat's gonna be all congested. I did just wake up, like, probably about not even an hour ago, so I guess not too surprising. Yeah, when I said real job, you might not have heard it or noticed it, but I said quote unquote real job or whatever. So I don't really look at it that way. I don't really look at the job market or whatever you want to say, that the employment product, the employment and the job market and all that fucking bullshit. I don't really look at it that way. I was mostly being sarcastic. Like there is no real jobs or whatever. Is that every job, quote unquote job, everything that somebody does, somebody starts their own company, that is just as valid, if not potentially how you look at it, even more valid, whatever valid really means in this case. More valid, or this just as valid or more valid as the people that are working their jobs where they're employed by somebody else and working for another guy's company or business or whatever. So yeah, I was just being sarcastic there, or whatever you want to say, quote unquote real job, because that's what most people would consider that. Like if you told them that you are doing something or starting your own shit, and by their definitions they didn't perceive whatever you said afterward as valid or something, they would just consider that like not a real job, like a side thing or some shit. Just a hobby or a side thing or whatever. But if you told them, oh yeah, I'm working at a McDonald's or I'm working at a Home Depot or whatever the fuck, you're working anywhere else for somebody else, and you had to be there for a certain amount of time every day and all that, and every day or whatever during the week, they would say, oh yeah, that's, they would say that's a real job, shit like that. So I was being somewhat, I guess, whatever you want, the word would be facetious or sarcastic. And okay, let me actually start what I'm doing. Fuck. It's hard to talk and do stuff at the same time. But that guy I also talked about, you were mentioning what his situation, and I don't know the exact situation with his. I can move the camera a lot, so I'll be at the sink. I guess I'll just move it that way. Oh yeah, this shit has to be unloaded. All right. So this tripod's pretty nice. I will give it that. But he, I don't know, because I know all I really know for sure is that, he and his wife lived together. I don't know who owns the house, or like who is the one who got the money for the house originally or whatever. I don't know what that situation was. Maybe it was some kind of inheritance from either him or his wife, or maybe they just bought the house somehow. I don't know exactly when they got married and all that shit. I think his wife was the one working like the technically full-time job or whatever you want to say, and he was doing the stuff on the side, whatever you want to call that, working on stuff. But I'm sure he done stuff. I know he worked in what would you call it? Web development, I think it was, or like some kind of before then. Why is this fork here? I have no fucking idea. I know I'm pretty sure before then he worked in some kind of like IT or like tech job, sort of thing. So he had skills outside of just the game development shit. I know he was pretty good at like web development and and being like an administrator kind of thing for website, whatever you want to say, like his own website that he had and stuff like that. So I know he was pretty experienced in that kind of in that kind of field or whatever. But I don't know when. I don't know exactly when he started. When he stopped, probably working at one of those places and decided to get into like the game dev shit or whatever you want to call it. So I think he was mostly doing it for like a hobby for a while. And I'm actually, and because of that, I'm actually not sure if he even had a registered LLC or what is it? The LLC or the fuck's the other one? LLC or I forget what the other one is. The limited liability corporation, and then whatever the other one is that. Maybe sole proprietorship or some shit. Sole proprietorship or whatever. So I don't know what that was for his thing. So I'm not sure. I would think he might, but I'm kind of thinking he doesn't. So he probably didn't have a registered LLC or whatever. And then again, this guy is living in Australia, so I have no clue how different the whatever you want to call it, the laws for forming your own corporation or LLC are in Australia and shit. For all I know, it could be like completely fucking ridiculous or something. I don't know. Why are there forks there? That is such a fucking weird. Whatever, man. But yeah, I don't know what his situation was exactly there. So I'm just gonna guess that he didn't have an LLC specifically there because, as far as I know, he really wasn't making much income at all from Daggerfall Unity. If anything, I don't think he was making anything because he had it as an open source thing. So the most he'd really be getting would be potentially donations and stuff. So he was mostly doing that as a passion project hobby thing. And then after he sort of recently, maybe a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, decided to finally consider Daggerfall Unity fully created, or whatever you want to say, officially release it version 1.0 and stuff. After he decided to do that, that's when he started working on his own game engine project that he actually wanted to potentially sell commercially or whatever. But the reason he couldn't really do that with Daggerfall Unity is because that was an game engine recreation of an older game. So all of the assets and stuff in the game were technically another company's property or whatever you want to say. He was they might not make much of a stink potentially if he decided to try to sell it or some shit, but he was going the extra careful route and not doing any of that kind of thing with it. But I don't think he'd probably have that much success if he did try to sell it, though, honestly. So, not because it's not a good thing or whatever, it's just the way it kind of was started was definitely more of a passion thing more than a potential commercial or whatever potential commercial kind of thing. So yeah, I don't think he might not have had a actual corporation registered or whatever. So in that case, he probably was more just doing a hobby thing, and maybe him saying that he started working was an excuse. I don't know. Maybe he and his wife finally started to get some financial pressure from him not working a quote unquote normal job or some shit. And that's just kind of his personal excuse to say, I wanted to socialize more. I don't know. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. I think that was the main stuff I wanted to say about that. Was you were surprised that somebody would consider socializing with coworkers or being around coworkers as socializing or interacting with people. And I completely agree with you. Is that in most places I've worked. I was always fairly outgoing when I was at work for the most part. I wouldn't be I definitely wouldn't be considered antisocial for the most part. But a lot of the people most of the people I would not consider people that I would want to hang out with after work or whatever the fuck. And that never happened. So yeah. But I could kind of understand from what he was saying that just being so isolated for years on end, besides just from your wife or whatever, I could see wanting to at least kind of get out into society. I think he's more of a guy who could definitely make it more as a quote unquote normal person in society. So I don't think he would be really considered that much of a misfit in that way, or outcast. So I think I understand what he is saying, even if I would not. I mean, I could understand because, even just being on your own, you, Billy, you're in a position with your company or whatever you want to say. With that guy, he was working basically 100% on the computer because that was, it was a software. It was a piece of software or whatever you want to say. So there is almost no reason he would have to go out and try to talk to people, sell to people, advertise to people, do anything with customers, that kind of thing. He would be talking to people online, but that's not the same thing as talking to people in person. So, and in your case, maybe you haven't felt that potential, like, complete isolation from other human beings, compared to maybe what he had felt, just working like almost 100% digitally and shit for years on end. So, like, I know it sounds weird because you probably wouldn't consider most of your customers people that you would actually like or hang out with, but at the same time, I've noticed with people is that even with that, like, even the normie people you can't really even relate to, just some kind of face-to-face, person-to-person human interaction is kind of something people start to desire after a lot of time of personal isolation or whatever from that. So even for him, in his case, or in your case, you just interacting with customers on that level as a somebody selling a service to these people, that is still some human interaction. Whereas with him, he wasn't really selling to anybody besides talking to people online. But face to face, as far as probably the only thing he would see face to face is maybe if he went to the store. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. That's how I kind of view it potentially. And I would see him the way that he's probably more of an outgoing person. So being that isolated from people probably became more difficult just as time went on for him, I would imagine. Shit. Well, that was the main things I kind of remember off the top of my head. So now I'm not sure exactly what you said before that. I know there was some interesting shit that you did say, but I'm just having trouble remembering it coherently. Well, I guess I'll just say that for now that is the direct reaction part's done. So now I'm just probably going to kind of just sort of off the cuff talk about stuff if I can think about it, and if I can't, then I'll probably just end the video. I don't know, because it's going to be somewhat difficult to do stuff even if the stuff is not that mentally taxing, like obviously. Oh shit, what the fuck? Oh man. Somebody was a fucking idiot. Somebody was a fucking idiot, and now there's something stuck in the drawer, keeping it from opening. And that idiot was not me, so I know who that idiot was. And, yeah, great. No clue. Okay, this is fucking handle. Stupid pen. Fucking stupid bitch sometimes, man. I know I shouldn't talk about my mother that way, but I do, because she in my life, she is my not milk antagonist or whatever, because I guess the reality can't pick anybody else. So it's like, all right, let's use that one. But I think just realizing that is also better than not realizing that fact, I guess. It does make it easier to deal with her bullshit. And man, her fucking memory she is totally going. She is totally, I would say, in the early to moderate levels of dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever, because she's forgetting shit so much. This fucking bullshit here. I guess that works. she's forgetting shit so much now. That's like an everyday fucking thing where she either forgets something or she'll be talking and then completely forget what the hell she was talking about and stuff. So she's getting pretty bad with that shit, and I think it's even worse because I don't know if she's gonna keep taking that shit every day. I don't know if she's gonna keep taking that shit every day, but she has been taking these like THC gummies or whatever the fuck, like almost every day since like the summer started, kind of. So now she's basically like a fucking pothead. But yeah, I don't know. Now that she's working, I don't know if she's gonna do that every day still. But yeah, I think being a pothead is not a great thing. It turns out, not a great thing. I think her memory problems have been like way even worse due to that kind of. It's fucking heavy, this shit. I know that. We shouldn't have it set up like this, but it's just how it is. Kind of convenience base-wise, but it makes it difficult to take out and put away later. Alright, that wasn't too bad. Just gotta do it slowly and carefully. Should all be dry. But, it's a little straighter, but, yeah, man, fuck. We'll talk about some shit, I guess. I mean, that was the main stuff I kind of wanted to talk about, but, like, oh yeah, I mean, I know you talked about that or mentioned it, but, yeah, like, I can only imagine what threshold people have where they start considering somebody that's working for themselves, like, legit, or whatever you want to say. Because some people would probably not consider what you're doing, Billy, or whatever your landscaping stuff is, like, legit. They'd say, like, it's a side thing more than anything or some bullshit. And then you mentioned, like, if, you know, they care about if you have, like, a, you know, like a logo and shit like that, like business card. And then I was thinking of, funny enough, I was thinking of the stupid business cards from American Psycho and that shit. I was like, yeah, these people really do care about that dumb shit. And, you know, I understand that it looks more professional to have these things, but end of the day, obviously, as we know, it doesn't change anything of what, if you have a business, it doesn't change anything of what your actual service is. It's just you're changing your, as you'd say, your optics. You're changing your optics, which, as you said, optics are kind of a lot more than anybody would ever consider, probably. Optics are maybe not everything, but they're close to it, almost. It seems, is that, at least if you want the quote-unquote normal people in normal society to lend any credence to what you're doing or whatever, or what organization, like if it is considered a authority or whatever, a bullshit authority, is if it has these quote-unquote professionalism things. Like, there's that one story, I don't know, you know, who knows how legit it is or not, probably nothing, but I don't know if you heard this one. It's, man, we got these fucking fruit flies around, these little fruit flies. I don't know, this one with the stupid bullshit, but whatever. I don't know. It was some. I don't even know where I heard about this one, but it's some fucking story or something about that. Like some guy who started some kind of company. I don't know if it was like banking related or some bullshit. But supposedly this guy he was doing it solo for the longest time. This company, and the way that he changed his optics from that, because it was a kind of company that probably people would really only care if it was in a professional kind of, if only like a professional kind of outlook or optics was present. They would only like give any thought to it or whatever, consideration to it. So what he did, supposedly, once again, this story sounds like a little, all these fucking like origin stories and stuff like this that you kind of hear, like the Humpty Dumptys and stuff that you hear from the mainstream sources and shit. I always have some doubts with them, like like how legit they are or not. But I mean, it sounds believable, I guess, or not so much. It sounds believable, but the end message of it, I guess, the takeaway from it seems believable enough. But basically, he would he would use like terminology like you wouldn't use like I or me or like the singular kind of terminology in English and stuff. He would always make sure to use stuff like we and like plural kind of stuff in reference to things. And as well as, I don't know what he did exactly, but basically he made it, he used deception, basically, in a way. He used deceptive tactics to manipulate people's perception of his optics. So, like, even if he didn't have multiple employees, he made it seem like that, and that was enough to get these people to kind of give his company more credence and respect, or whatever you want to say. So that that's just kind of an example I was thinking of, like, of people manipulating optics to manipulating people in a way to change their perception of optics for like their company or some shit. But yeah, as you said, like that matters far more than your actual competence of what you're doing. Is the optics that the customer base has or whatever, or that your company exudes to these people for them to think that it is like legit and some kind of authority or whatever. But that's I think a big point with people that make their own companies is if they want to be seen as like legit, they kind of have to just, I guess that's kind of like that I'm saying or whatever, fake it till you make it. Like you just kind of have to fucking lie, depending on what the situation is and how it starts or whatever. You just kind of have to fucking lie. It seems to get people to have any form of respect for your thing in its initial stages, I guess. But what was the main point I was going to make with that? Yeah, and fuck. It's hard to fucking do this shit on the fly or whatever sometimes. Put this bullshit away. I guess I could talk about just some stuff that would be easy to think about or whatever, remember. So like me, I've thought about a bunch of different like company ideas and stuff like that, and it's crazy because like doing the stuff or like thinking about these things, obviously like ideas are not hard, like ideas are a dime a dozen, but so it's not hard to think of potentially good ideas for like businesses and shit. But obviously it's all in the execution. Like I still don't understand like how that's to me that's still like a reality breakdown. I don't understand how so many of these restaurants that you see, like at least where I'm currently living in the area or whatever, like there is a fucking it's not like that fucking nuts, but like just around this whole area and stuff like that, and even like a few miles out and stuff like that, like around this area, there is just like so many restaurants and stuff like restaurants and shit. And it just doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm like, how many people are, I mean, apparently a lot, but like, even with that, I don't know what people are constantly going out to be able to keep these places like open, these businesses, and not even just keeping them open, like maintaining them, but starting them originally or whatever. Like, where are they getting the capital from besides like their family or some shit to start these places? And like, I don't know, it just doesn't fucking make sense to me, because I'm like, yeah, if you wanted to start your own business, the property, like a commercial storefront or whatever you want, a commercial building, like not even, when I say commercial, I don't mean like industrial, I mean like commercial, like just a little building you'd have at like for a 7-Eleven or some shit. Like that is even more expensive than a residential property or whatever. So like, say if you wanted just some commercial property, you'd probably be paying like the same, but most likely more than you would be for a residential property. So it's going to be fucking expensive as shit. And like, until, like, I know you could do research beforehand with these kind of things, like for foot traffic amounts and like volume of people and like stuff like that. Like you could do research before, which you probably should, before buying one of these properties or some shit and trying to start your own kind of like storefront or something. But at the end of the day, you'll only know when you actually like start it and actually see the in the practical sense, where like how many customers you will actually be potentially getting on a regular basis around that kind of area. And you don't know, I mean, once again, you could do some kind of research and make assumptions, but you don't know what the, obviously you don't know what the future of that area is going to be. Like, for all you know, one of those storefronts, the anchor store or some shit like that could go out of business, and then all of a sudden all that foot traffic that was coming there, potentially going for that anchor store, originally, they just kind of dry up, because they're like, well, that anchor store is no longer there. The reason that they would go to that storefront in the first place is no longer there, so there is much less reason for them to go around there to potentially walk upon your business and go in there or whatever. So it's so like crazy to just imagine that there's this many people that are starting these businesses, but I know it's not taking really into consideration the reality that, at least that I've seen, the reality that most of the, probably a lot of them get some kind of government assistance. And by that I mean, like, say somebody wants to, say somebody who's of a considered minority race or ethnicity or whatever you want to say, minority group, like women and women business owners, or like black business owners, or Indian business owners, whatever the fuck. they have these grants and fucking basically free money that the government will give to these loans, and not even loans, like loans without any strings. So they'll basically just give them, and then they'll call it a loan, but in reality it's just free money. They'll give them like fucking 70,000 or some shit I've seen, like probably even more than that, to start up these businesses. Or as like initial capital or whatever. So there's obviously so much stuff like that going on. And that's not even considering the fact that a lot of them probably get a lot of their money to start from like their family members or whatever. So it's like, once again, it's like, man, how the fuck would anybody, and the rents of these places, and the rents, and probably mortgages, if you actually buy the properties, if they actually are selling and not just renting it. It's just pretty fucking absurd. So it's like, I don't know. It's one of those things that's just, to me, is like a reality breakdown. Because I'm like, how can this many places, and these people, most of the people that are running these kind of places, especially like these family-run restaurants and stuff, like, they don't know fucking shit about, they don't know fucking shit about, like, running businesses or whatever you want to say, or running, like, a storefront. They just fucking do it, like, as you said, with some of the landscaper people that you've interacted with and stuff, where it's like they're just too dumb to realize that they're too dumb to even think that they can't. So they kind of just do it kind of like almost accidentally. They kind of just do it accidentally, like that, like. They're not even like, you know what I'm talking about. You were talking about that one time, I'm just having a hard time explaining it, where people that start businesses, there's like people that are doing it intentionally with intent, and that are like, that have been done research and like educated themselves about the process and everything. But then there's people that they start these businesses not because they want some specific kind of thing out of it, but they're just like, they're too ignorant to even think that they can't, or even realize that they shouldn't, or they can, or whatever. Like, they don't even think about that that thing that people say, like, oh yeah, starting your businesses, that's a big risk, and it's most of them fail and all that crap. They don't even think about that because they're too dumb or whatever. They're too ignorant. And I think most of these kind of like family-owned ones are like that in that sense. And I'm like, how the fuck with that can they stay like open? It's just, I don't know. It just doesn't fucking add up to me. That's why, like, the business ideas that I would have would all be, okay, no, not all of them, but some of them are obviously stuff that have almost very little or almost no, like, startup capital kind of stuff. Like, oh, man, that's fucking retard. Like, I think one that I had that I actually used during the COVID bullshit, because they were giving out unemployment during the COVID shit, even if you weren't employed and stuff. So I took advantage of that crap. But then they tried to fuck. What the hell? What the fuck is in that? Oh god. Whatever, man. It's fucking shit. Fucking throws me off sometimes, man. Retard shit. This is what happens when you have somebody with like fucking moderate to early to moderate fucking like dementia and shit. Oh man. But what was it? I think one like fake company that I just had on there just to get around the bullshit that they were trying to pull. Like, they were like, oh yeah, now you people owe the government back for this shit. But then I just emailed them stuff like, quote-unquote, proof of invoices from a fake company that I made up. And it was actually one that probably wouldn't be the worst idea. Would be, basically like a 3D printing repair company, or like a company that would repair 3D printers for people or whatever. That was the fake one that I thought of. I don't know why I thought of that one, but I was thinking about it. I'm like, that's probably not the worst idea. Now, the thing is that 3D printers have gotten a lot less popular over let me fucking move this somewhere else. Got some shit in my eye. But 3D printers have gotten a lot less popular over the years, especially since the AI trend and everything. That's not a direct result of that. I just think that I don't know. 3D printing is just people. It's one of those things. It's one of those things that was really overhyped because of ideas that we've been given, like stuff from say Star Trek with the replicator and stuff like that. So 3D printing was definitely way overhyped, and the actual like practicality of it was way over exaggerated. So now I don't really think that like that would be the best. I mean, it could work, but I don't really think it'd be the best business idea or whatever. Just because, I think 3D printing is kind of like out of style now, or it's just that, like I said, people kind of are noticing that it's not that practical. Like there is uses to 3D printing. It's just like the ones that people were thinking about just don't occur. They just don't occur or whatever, because like you can't 3D print stuff that you need to have like you can't really practically 3D print stuff that needs to be like fairly structurally sound and sturdy and stuff. So in that way, it's kind of limited to small, not load-bearing and non-load-bearing stuff, which turns out is a lot of like things that are useful have some kind of requirements to be a little bit sturdy. Like even something seemingly as simple and mundane as like a analog stick for an analog stick for a video game controller or some shit, like just the 3D printed stuff, it just doesn't practically work that well. Just doesn't practically work that well in the end. So like your main thing that you're going to be 3D printing for the most part is shit like stuff that is artistically what would you call it? Artistically focused, kind of like stuff like figurines and miniatures, things like that. And there is definitely a market for that. There's definitely a surprisingly big market of fucking people that buy, plastic shit and figurines and stuff. But even then, 3D printing isn't that great for that, because depending on what it is, like for stuff like Dungeons and Dragons, like miniatures and stuff, like it could work because it doesn't matter like what color they are. And I know there's different skills of stuff like 3D or miniature painting that people do, where they paint. They paint with like spray paint these miniatures to give them color and everything. But like most of the 3D printing material is unicolor, whatever you want to say. It's like it's one color usually. Like if you 3D print something, it's just going to be completely one color, like blue or some bullshit or that, like whatever. it's not like it's printing and then coloring as it's printing kind of shit. That almost never happens. So like even that kind of company probably wouldn't work out. That I mean I think it could, but it'd be at this point it'd be a fairly niche sort of thing, like a repair business for 3D printers. I mean, even some seemingly niche things seem to have actually quite a bit of demand if you're skillful enough. Like that one channel that I'm subscribed to that he does graphics cards repairs and stuff. He repairs graphics cards and stuff. He seems to get a fair amount of business, and I mean he's very skilled at what he does, so I could see that working out, and other shit like that. But yeah, like it definitely a more interesting idea. Like a few years ago when it was more hyped up, the 3D printing shit, but that now like nobody cares, or like almost nobody cares. Like, have you heard anybody like almost maybe in like one or two videos here and there like talk about 3D printing seriously at this point? Me, I would say that like no, almost nobody fucking talks about it anymore. It's almost like it stopped existing, sort of. It's weird. But as I said, like the kind of physical, there's a few physical kind of or business ideas that I've had before as well. Such as, what was it I was saying? Like a game store that would be like. I mean, there's so many of these game stores that they've kind of been going out of style or whatever. Like there's been a lot of them. Like there are not many around my area unless you drive out like 20 miles plus and shit. But a place that people could do stuff like congregate with their friends to do whatever, like a tabletop RPG or whatever you want to say, Dungeons and Dragons thing. Like they could congregate there to do that kind of shit. And then buy other stuff, I guess. Like that was one thing. And that one I wasn't that seriously thinking about. It's just one that I was like, that'd probably be pretty cool at least. Doesn't mean it would be successful though. Then the other one is obviously like a physical bakery. And that's like the main one I would consider probably is like some kind of physical bakery with like a gimmick or like niche that it tries to fill more than like other bakeries in a way. Like more stuff that isn't like all just pre-made and then bought and then made like assembled there kind of stuff, like actually like homemade kind of shit. Different desserts from different cultures, not like all just the same like two-tiered cakes and shit like that. And I've had others as well, but those are like kind of the main ones. I mean, right now, I'm working on a app in the Godot or Godot or Godot. I think that what most people would say is Godot engine. In the Godot game engine, this free open source game engine, I am working on currently as a hobby project or whatever you want to say, is something to solve a problem that I have, which is like ingredients and fuck would be the word. Basically, working with recipes, scaling up recipes and scaling them down. It's not that hard to do, especially with something like ChatGPT, but it is annoying that I have to go to ChatGPT all the time to more easily scale up and down those recipes and shit. Like it takes a surprising amount of effort to do that with multiple recipes for different things and shit. And a lot of people that have recipes online, they don't have like the same format for. They don't have like a standardized format or whatever that they have their recipes written and shit. So it makes it difficult when some recipes have like they don't have weight measurements or whatever. Like they don't list anything in grams or anything like that. They only list it in volume, like cups and teaspoons and shit like that. So I have to go out of my way to convert that to have a weight thing. So the idea of this app would be basically to be able to make your own recipes, and it would it would help you by automatically converting some of these values and allowing you to multiply these values and stuff to more suit what recipe you're trying to make, as well as I haven't gotten to any of that part yet. Potentially having like a function to input certain dimensions of, say, shit. Well, I'm gonna end this because now it says some shit about capturing stuff, so I don't know. Just so it doesn't delete the video, but I guess I'll end it there. For now, and thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Alright, fuck it. I'll just do some editing. I'll do some editing to clip this fucking clips together or whatever. If that one even went through, I'd imagine. But yeah, the idea for the recipe app was basically to be able to assist you with scaling up or down recipes. And I was going to have a function as well to basically be able to put the whatever dimensions of some kind of vessel you're going to cook something in, say like a cake pan or a whatever, just like an 8x8 tray or a 9x9 tray or a 9x13 tray or a sheet pan or glassware pans and stuff like that. Whatever dimensions, just enter it in, and then you'd be able to get a approximate volume that would be able to a volume capacity, and basically what multiplications or divisions you would have to, or it would do to make that recipe fit within that pan that you have. So like, say if you needed to adjust a recipe that was originally made for like a 8x8 pan. If you wanted to make a 9x13 pan, it would basically just do some math and give you an approximate multiplication value and say like, okay, so you have to make your recipe 25% larger to fit within that pan comfortably or whatever, or to fit within that pan so it spreads out properly and everything. So that would be kind of the idea. Just a simple app that I've been working on. So that's potentially something that I can make a business venture off of or whatever. That kind of stuff, making tools and apps like that or whatever. That solve practical problems for me, but then I could potentially either sell or use as a advertising vehicle for other things or something. I don't know. And then the other thing was selling baked goods on stuff like these online retail stores like Etsy and stuff. Because I didn't really know that there was people selling like baked goods on the without like just through the mail, basically just through the mail, like 100% delivery, whatever you want to say, 100% through the mail kind of shit. And it's kind of limiting because a lot of things don't really last that well in the mail. Like there's people that mail fucking like actual fully made cakes and shit, like multi-tiered cakes in the mail, but they need to use pretty expensive shipping costs to get it there quickly without it like basically losing its shape and shit like that. So they have to like freeze it and then put ice packs in the fucking box, and then they have to make sure it's like 1 day shipping and stuff. But other things like cookies, like they can go through the normal mail without being too affected. Generally, so yeah, there's stuff like that. So that's probably how I would start initially trying to sell like stuff like baking stuff is just through trying to do stuff like that, like just the online storefronts kind of shit. Through that, all the Etsy has it, so it's already they got the payment processor and stuff set up. They already got stuff like for shipping and everything. They got the audience, the viewer base or whatever you want to say that goes on the website to buy shit. So there is obviously some potential there. And I would even start like a sort of like, even though technically it would be like illegal without a stupid license and everything for like homestead or whatever the fuck they call it, cooking stuff at your house and then selling it to people. So like your business front or place of operations would just be your home instead of like a commercial bakery or a commercial kitchen or some shit. So what I'd be doing is probably technically illegal, but I don't really give a fuck about that shit. The main issue is that if I wanted to sell stuff like locally baked stuff, is that you'd either have to have the people come to you to pick up the items, to pick up the stuff, which that's possible, but I wouldn't want to do that because one, it would become too obvious. It'd be too obvious if there was like people all the time coming to your house to pick something up or whatever. Like it'd be obvious that you're running a business illegally or whatever. After a point, as well as the potential quote unquote risks of people like all knowing your address and stuff, which I guess is not that big of a deal. But then the other option, which would make more sense, would be to directly deliver the stuff to the person or to somewhere from where, like, you know, with catering, like they deliver it right to the place or whatever. Which that's an option, but at the same time, I'm like, man, I do not like driving in Jersey, and that just adds, like, I know you'd obviously have to factor that cost of transport and shipping in there, but that's the part I would definitely dislike the most. Would be that aspect is like, and then you know, unless you, which you could limit which you would most likely limit to say people buying would have to be at least at most 20 miles away or some bullshit like that, or 10 miles away from your location. But even with that, it would kind of suck probably to have to do that kind of shit, like delivering it directly to them. Basically, you're making the stuff and then you're acting like a fucking Uber driver or whatever. Which, I mean, I guess you could hire out. I guess you could do that. I don't know how that would work though, because you wouldn't be able to do it through the Uber app, basically. But you could hire out that part of it, I guess. How well that would work, I don't know. But that was a consideration. It's just definitely something that is more, I think, viable and less initially risky or initial capital requiring than having your own, like buying a commercial storefront and shit like that somewhere. Yeah. Because that is quite the upfront investment comparatively. Sweeping. I don't know. Like, there's stuff that I want to talk about, but I'm just having a hard time remembering exactly what I want to talk about and cohesively or coherently assembling that into a thought to be talked about, I guess. Well, I don't know. Maybe I guess if I'm gonna do editing anyway, if I think of something to talk about, I'll start recording again. But if not, then I'll just cut it off for now. But we'll see, I guess. But take care.